Right now, swirling in the darkest, most heavily encrypted corners of the internet are incredibly persistent, highly detailed rumors that the entire full-length, unfinished movie of Spider-Man Brand New Day has been completely compromised. Yes, you heard that right. Not a discarded script page, not a fuzzy concept art sketch, but the full 2-hour-plus film, complete with unfinished visual effects, missing sound design, and raw CGI. Exactly like that Wolverine DVD from all those years ago. Word is that this massive digital file is actively being brokered and sold in back-channel forums, whether it's for pure, unadulterated financial profit or a malicious act of revenge by someone with a severe, deep-rooted grudge against the studio. The terrifying reality is that the ultimate Hollywood secret is currently exposed to the open air. I want you to vividly imagine the sheer panic echoing inside the studio's executive boardrooms right now. We are talking about their biggest, most fiercely protected billion-dollar tentpole release of the year. If a full movie leaks a month or two before its massive global theatrical debut, the catastrophic box office stakes are literally incalculable. Every single illegally downloaded view represents a potential lost ticket. If this leak dents their financial projections even slightly, I am telling you the studio will unleash absolute scorched earth retribution. It will be a merciless, highly funded legal hunt. I'm picturing an aggressive zero-tolerance campaign to unmask the culprit that makes Liam Neeson's iconic "I will find you and I will kill you" speech look like a polite, friendly request. The legal and financial wrath coming down the pipeline will be absolutely unprecedented in modern entertainment history. But, while the full movie sits dangerously in the shadows being brokered, the dam has actually already broken on another front. A heavily watermarked test footage quality version of the highly anticipated upcoming trailer has just dropped online, and it's spreading like wildfire. And the internal chaos surrounding this drop is just fascinating to dissect. The logistical pipeline required to clean this mess up for an official reactionary release is a total nightmare. To pivot quickly, the studio's editors would literally have to pull all-nighters to extensively re-edit the footage, shift musical beats to match a completely new narrative flow, violently scrub out anything deemed too spoilery, and then rapidly submit it to be re-rated by international boards in a matter of hours. What's even crazier, and what literally proves the massive scale of this breach, is that I've actually seen two distinctly different versions of this leaked trailer circulating out there. One version features this gritty opening sequence focused squarely on the villain Scorpion, while the other kicks off with an incredibly intense, high-stakes prison sequence. The brilliant and honestly terrifying thing about this leaked trailer is how it absolutely weaponizes the literary concept of Chekhov's gun. If you recall the much earlier, officially released teaser, there's a very brief, almost blink-and-you-miss-it glimpse of a Bruce Banner inhibitor device glowing ominously. A lot of fans and analysts just brushed it off, thinking it was just a fun background Easter egg meant to build the world. But Chekhov's gun dictates a strict narrative rule. If you show a loaded rifle in the first act, it absolutely must go off by the third. This unpolished leak confirms exactly that. The inhibitor fails, Banner doesn't just drop in for a quick witty cameo, he fully transforms. And not into the standard, somewhat controlled Hulk we've grown accustomed to. The leaked, unrendered footage reveals a massive, unstoppable, calculating, and deeply terrifying gray Hulk, physically tearing through the screen with a brutal intensity we haven't seen in years. So, the crucial, completely mind-bending point here is that an unleashed gray Hulk isn't even the primary problem our hero is facing. The leaked footage finally definitively pulls back the curtain on the movie's main antagonist, secretly played by Sadie Sink. Up until now, her involvement was completely obscured in absolute secrecy, but this trailer establishes her as a terrifying, unseen threat with devastating telepathic, body-jumping abilities. When I first watched the raw footage, I genuinely struggled to comprehend the scale of her power. She isn't throwing cars down avenues or shooting energy beams into the sky, she's a psychological virus. She can hijack anyone at any time. Imagine walking down the street, realizing your best friend, your mentor, or even just the random person buying coffee next to you could suddenly become a lethal weapon controlled by a hostile mind. It makes everyone around Peter Parker a potential inescapable enemy. The visual storytelling of how Peter has to actually combat this psychological nightmare is just incredible. Imagine the intense, paranoid cat-and-mouse game required to fight an enemy who literally wears a new face every 5 seconds. I realized while breaking down these leaked, grainy frames that Peter is forced into an impossible corner. He has to invent a desperate, highly advanced AI tracking mechanism on the fly. He's a street-level brawler who is suddenly forced to become this master digital detective, frantically programming an algorithm that can isolate the unique digital or neural signature of her consciousness. He isn't tracking a physical person through the city grid, he is tracking a ghost leaping from host to host in real time. It completely elevates the tactical stakes of a standard punch-heavy superhero fight into a deeply paranoid, high-tech psychological thriller. And all this overwhelming pressure brings us to what I honestly believe is the most disturbing, visceral, yet utterly fascinating revelation from the entire leak. As Peter pushes himself to the absolute physical and mental limit just to survive this dual threat, his powers are evolving in a very dark, totally unexpected way. The footage heavily implies, with some incredibly gruesome visual cues, that he is developing organic webbing. But this isn't presented as a cool, convenient, biological upgrade to save him from making web fluid. No, the physical and emotional toll of this sudden mutation is agonizing. We are watching a hero who is completely losing control over his own anatomy. His biology is actively betraying him. The webbing isn't shooting out of a neat mechanical device. It's violently tearing through his skin, operating on pure, unadulterated instinct and survival rage rather than careful precision. This builds a profound, almost tragic contrast that completely redefines the character. On one side, we have the classic, elegant Spider-Man I've watched for years, the seasoned hero who swings through the dense city canyons with acrobatic grace, extreme agility, and total calculated mastery over his movements. Every swing is intentional. But this leak exposes a terrifying new reality. The Spider-Man in this footage is completely impulsive. He is entirely overwhelmed by a raw, uncontrolled, monstrous strength that he clearly fears. His aerial movements aren't graceful anymore. They are violently erratic, propelled by explosive, painful bursts of organic power that he clearly doesn't know how to harness or suppress yet. It's raw, it's visceral, and for the first time in a long time, it feels genuinely dangerous. Which naturally leads me to a very deep conspiratorial inquiry. Whenever something of this magnitude drops online early, there is always that cynical voice in the back of my head asking, is this just a highly orchestrated, incredibly risky marketing ploy? I mean, we know studios deliberately leak minor assets, like early character design sheets or blurry merchandise pictures, just to keep the hype train rolling and dominate the social media conversation. But deliberately dropping a heavily watermarked, aggressively unfinished trailer, or worse, leaving a full-length, unrendered, highly vulnerable movie exposed on the dark web just days before a massive global release, that isn't marketing. That is unadulterated anarchy. No studio executive in their right mind would willingly sabotage the pristine unveiling of their most expensive billion-dollar asset. What we are witnessing isn't a clever trick, it is a genuine, catastrophic breach of security. And honestly, looking at all this leaked material, sifting through the raw files and the unfinished CGI, I am torn by a deep, inescapable internal conflict. Part of me, the cinematic purist, deeply desires to walk into a darkened, silent theater, sit down in front of a massive IMAX screen, and experience the movie exactly as the director meticulously intended, in pristine, uncompromised, beautiful cinematic quality. But there is another part of me, a part I think we all secretly share to some degree, that feels the undeniable, magnetic thrill of the chaos. There is something profoundly intoxicating about watching a massive, heavily guarded Hollywood secret violently spill open onto the timeline for everyone to obsessively dissect. It's the sheer thrill of seeing behind the curtain, looking at the wires and the unpainted sets when you absolutely, unequivocally aren't supposed to. So, I leave you with this lingering thought to truly chew on. When these massive, industry-shaking breaches happen, when the unpolished, raw reality of a film is suddenly thrust into our hands months early, we really have to look in the mirror. Are we just innocent victims of spoilers stumbling through the internet, or are we actively complicit in a culture that relentlessly hungers for leaked secrets and behind-the-scenes drama? Do we truly want the pristine, carefully curated, perfectly packaged experience of the theater? Or deep down, do we ultimately crave the anarchy of the leak? It's a profound question, and how we answer it is going to completely define how we consume entertainment from here on out.